Hello, welcome back to Survival Saturday with Johnny Tiger. The date is March 11, 2023. Today we're going to talk a little bit about things that are good for fighting, things that are good for sporting. Because a lot of people, whether beginners or people who just don't train in anything at all, and sadly enough, even some high-level martial artists can't make out the difference between what is good for sporting and what is good for fighting. This is why, despite of many black belts out there, you commonly will see black belts getting their butts handed to them by someone who don't even have any belt. Okay, so usually the reason is either this black belt is very inexperienced, never been in a fight before, or he just haven't been in enough of a situation, or he or she has not quite reached that conclusion that some moves are good only for when competitions, and some moves are only good for fighting. Only by being able to separate these things can you train the most effective, because now you can actually focus on what is it that you want to do. It's just like opening your toolkit. If you can't tell the difference between a knife and a screwdriver, then you're going to make the really big no-no kind of mistake, like using your knife to unscrew something. Yes, you can do that, but you're going to break your knife. Eh? And you're going to make the similar big no-no mistake by trying to use your screwdriver to cut open a package. Yes, you can do that, but you are going to make a royal mess of the package in the process. Okay, so it's very important to know what tool is for what situation, what tool is for what job, before you can actually focus on training and getting better. First, let me regale you guys with a little true story that sort of illustrate how the thought process is so important in this kind of stuff in combat. There was one time when I was teaching the class, and uh, we got to me and one of the guys, we went into some Krav Maga style sparring, and we started out standing and then just going at each other, and then eventually we end out going down on the ground. And long story short, at one point, I'm on my knee, I'm posed up on one knee, and he's down on his belly, and I got my elbow down over top of his chest, and I got his arm stretched over my knee, right? And this was when I paused my movement because it's just not needed to do any more. He knew I could break his arm, right? And this was when my sparring partner said, so in a real fight, this is when you go into your badass Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu armbar, right? And I was dumbfounded by him saying that because this is totally not the thing that you would want to do in a real fight, okay? So I said to him, no, in a real fight, I'm down here, you're down there. I got my elbow pinning you down. I got your arm over my kneecap. I'm just going to break your arm and slam your face into the ground and get up and stomp on your head. I'm going to walk away and go home. And I remember there was this shocked silence around the entire class. And then one guy said, God damn, you are a dangerous guy. But I did not do that so they think I'm badass or dangerous. I do that because that is how my brain is wired. At the core, I am a self-defense instructor. Yes, I have competed a lot. I have won my share of medals. I have fought my uh, share of competition matches and sparring matches. But when it comes down to it, if you ask me out there in a fight, then my brain automatically go to things that are good in a fight. So armbar, submission, none of that. I'm not going to. So what you see me do in the dojo, what you see me do in class, is not what I will do out there. What I will do out there, I will not do in class. Okay. First, let's talk about what are good for fighting and not good for sporting, because this is a more simple one, right? Everyone knows some of these. Obviously, poking someone in the eye, like a self-defense staple, driving your thumb into someone's eye, no good. Okay, you can't use that for sporting. Not nice. No, no. I don't care what style you do. Even in Krav Maga, we are told not to do that to our partners. Okay, even with goggles on, we are told if you have to do a ice jab, then go for the forehead. That's jab them on the forehead or smack them on the forehead with your palm to simulate that jab to the eyes, because it's just too dangerous, right? The grabbing someone's nose, push them to the ground. No, no, not good for sporting. Hitting someone in the throat, not good for sporting. Hitting someone in the groin, not good for sporting. These are all the obvious ones. I think most of you know that already. Stomp on someone's foot, not good for sporting. Okay? These are things that you just can't do in competition. Uh, but here are some of the more less obvious ones that some of you might not know. Small joint manipulation. Okay, you see people do judo and jiu-jitsu all the time. People think judo and jiu-jitsu is ultimate grappling martial art. But most of the time when you get those guys, I'm saying most of the time because there are some judo, jiu-jitsu guys super, super good at what they do, right? But most of the time you get a judo, jiu-jitsu guy into a real fight and someone suddenly start grabbing the finger, bending the thumb, or twisting the wrist or finger joints, or stepping on their toe, stuff like that, bending their nose. They don't know how to deal with that, right? Because these things, small joint manipulation, are not allowed in competition. Too easy to break something. Okay, ankle lock, grabbing someone's leg and hyperextend the knee, right? Most of the modern jiu-jitsu competition ban those movements because the damage is too great. Right? Everyone still have to go to work next day, right? Even professional fighters, they still need to be able to train and continue to fight and make money. You break their leg, they are out of commission for 6 months, and then it takes another 6 months for rehabilitation. Okay, so leg lock, stuff like that, not allowed. Kidney attacks, right? Kidney shots, spine delivery, deliberately attacking someone's spinal cord, highly, highly frowned upon. I mean, sometimes that's just going to happen, right? Like if we're exchanging punches and then he go that way and I throw a hook, that's going to hit him in the back or in the kidney. But that's more like an accidental thing. But you're not allowed to go into a competition and just deliberately go for the kidney, or just go for the kidney, or bend someone over, go for the spine. I know that I was behind Bruce, so you guys couldn't see what I did. So what I did was I grabbed him and I drive my elbow right into the middle of the back, right? You can't do that. So these are things that are just not good for sporting. And because they're not good for sporting, a lot of people don't practice them. And this becomes a problem, right? Now, I hear some people say, well, just because a boxer practices boxing, that doesn't mean that he doesn't know how to fight dirty when he has to. Very true. However, I maintain that how you train is how you fight. When you're stressed out, when you're surrounded by 6 or 7 guys, when you're confronted with a guy who's on steroid and 400 pounds and is high on something, and the guy might have a knife in his hand. In this kind of scenario, what you train is going to come out. You don't have time to think, oh, maybe I shouldn't do boxing. Maybe I should do something else, right? So if you never allow yourself to train for fighting, if you just train for competition and nothing else, then that's what's going to happen. When you're on the street, you're going to go for that jab. You're going to go for that cross. You're going to go for that roundhouse kick and then break your kneecap, break your shin on the park bench because you miss the person entirely, right? Because it's not a fighting ring. In a dojo, when you throw that roundhouse kick, even if you miss the person, you're okay. There's nothing to break your leg on. Out there on the street, yeah, I mean, go out there and try to roundhouse kick and then hit a bench, bus stop pole or stop bench, and you can tell me, did that work really good? Probably not. Okay, so these are things that are good for fighting but not good for sporting. Now, let's talk about what's not good for fighting. And since I already said talk about the roundhouse kick, let's start with that. Roundhouse kick, okay, the thing that we see in MMA, UFC, uh, Taekwondo, karate, well, less in karate, but Muay Thai, kickboxing. Oosh, oosh, okay, this is great when you hit your partner, especially when you have leg pad on. It's great. It feels great. I know it doesn't feel good on the receiving end of it, but for the person doing the kicking, it's great, right? But roundhouse kick and kicks in general is extremely bad for fighting. Let me quickly say this again, although I have already mentioned this multiple times. This is not a blanket statement. I'm not going to say that no one can kick really good in a fight. There are definitely people who can kick really good in a fight. Right? I have trained with people who are devastating with their kicks, but it's rare. Okay? And honestly, even a lot of these people who are really good kickers, when they actually get into a fight, a lot of them will not kick unless they know they're going to hit their target for sure. When you kick in the fight, a lot of times you will run the risk of, yes, if you miss your target, you are going to damage your leg, you waste a lot of energy, and the moment you kick, there's a slight second that you're off balance, which, if there's more than one attacker, you are in trouble, right? Even if they fail to grab your leg, which is a bad thing to happen if they grab your leg, but even if they fail to grab your leg, so let's say you throw a kick and then the people crowd in while your leg is still in the air, now you're kind of stuck. Okay? Now you're in a really awkward position. Right? So kicking, while it is one of the strongest tools you have in a fight, it comes with a whole lot of risk. And this is not even accounting for what if you hit the person but you hit their hip bone? What if you hit the person and you hit their elbow? What if you go and throw that roundhouse kick and the person just happened to have a pocket knife in their pocket? Right? Let's say they don't pull out the knife to use against you. You go and throw that roundhouse kick and you hit them on the hip where the knife is. Boom! Right? This is metal. Okay? It's going to mess your shin up. And if you mess up your shin, then you're not going to be super effective for the rest of this fight. And guess what? You can't even run away very good now because you just mess up your leg. So honestly, I say if you are going to uh, use your leg in the fight, use your leg to uh, ground yourself, to drive yourself forward. Use your leg for other things than kicking. Use your leg for running away. Okay? Only kick if you really think that you're that good and you really think you're not going to miss and you really think you're not going to risk damaging your legs. Okay? So kicking is one of those things that is great in sporting, but just not not very good in the fight. Number two, and this is like common knowledge. You guys all heard about this before. Knuckles, right? Fisticuff. Right? It's great to throw punches in a fight or in a competition fight. Why? Because you wear gloves. Why do you think they tell you to wear gloves? Yeah, part of it is to protect your opponent, but a big part of it is to protect you too. Right? A boxer, a fighter, your hands are your tools of your trade. If you mess up your hand, it's not quite as bad as messing up your leg, but it's really bad. You won't be able to fight for a long time. If you don't fight, if you are professional, you don't make money. If you are a piano player, you damage your hand in sparring, you can't play piano. If you are a computer engineer, you don't make money. You can't use your hand, right? So that those gloves is partially a big part of it is to protect you, not your opponent. So when you are fighting out there on the street, using your fist is really a bad idea. You never know if you're going to hit the person on the head, and if you have never done that, I'm here to tell you, hitting someone on the head is going to hurt you a lot more than it's going to hurt them with your fist. Okay, fist, tiny little finger bones against big thick skull, especially like my skull, the skull is going to win every single time, right? If you don't believe me, go and get one of these hard medicine ball thingy. This is nowhere as hard as a human head. Nowhere as hard as a human head. But go ahead, get one of these and then punch it with all your force. Yeah, no, don't do that. You'll break your hand. Okay? So using a fist, bad idea. It's not really good for fighting. In fighting, you want to either only use your fist on soft part like the stomach, the chest, the face. Well, even the face is very dangerous because there are teeth in there. Okay, you don't want to get someone's teeth stuck in the knuckle. That's nasty. Okay, but using your fist is a bad idea. In a fight, try to default to palm strikes or hammer fist. These are a lot safer options. Elbows, knees, a lot safer options. Another thing that is so deceptive, uh, deceptively common is submission, chokes, throws, this kind of stuff. Yeah, you know I'm going to say it because I don't want people coming back and say I'm done talking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Judo. But trying to throw in a real fight, trying to choke and submit someone in a real fight is just a royally bad idea. Unless you are one of the Gracie families, unless you are like so good at what you do that you know you can get the job done without messing up. Okay? A lot of time when we hear about people who like former judo champion apprehending burglar, apprehending someone who tried to rob them, these are low violent, low risk cases. Right? If that judo champion is jumped in the back alley by two or three guys at the same time, those throws is not going to work. Why? Because let's say I faced three guys the size of Bruce, right? Which means roughly my size, maybe a bit bigger, maybe a lot more muscular, and I go into my judo stuff, and I throw Bruce to the ground, and I turn around and deal with another person, and then I got to throw that other person to the ground. By this time, Bruce is back on his feet. Okay, and so this will turn into a situation where I am wasting a lot of energy, but I'm not permanently putting them down. If you don't think that will happen, next time when you spar with somebody, get two or three people to jump you at the same time and then try to do your judo on them. I bet you will get a lot more tired than they will. Huh? So throws very dangerous. If it's a one-on-one fight, if someone break into your house, and someone who is like not holding a knife or not very big and high and stuff like that, then yeah, judo is great. Throws are great. You can probably crack their skull on the floor and then get away with that. But uh, it's very only in those low risk, low violence, low level violence situation. Submission, even worse. Okay, submissions even worse. Chokes and submissions in a fight is just a big no-no. I don't care what you're doing. Like you can choke someone out, yes, uh, but even if you're really good, and even if you don't mess up your choke, it will require you to hold that person there for at least 15 to 20 seconds. Submission, same thing. Okay, if you go for a submission in a fight, what is going to happen is a person might submit, might tap, and then you let them out. The moment you let them out, they punch you in the face or gouge out your eyes, right? The problem with any kind of submission or choke-based move is it takes time and constant pressure, which means you probably have that leisure in the fight. Again, if there's two or three of them, you don't have time to sit there and choke the guy, right? Even if there's just one of them. This is why I always laugh to myself whenever I do spar against jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners that want to test if Brazilian jiu-jitsu work better than Krav Maga. Because if I am fighting by Krav Maga rule and you are fighting by Brazilian jiu-jitsu rule, I am going to kick your ass every single time. Because the moment you grab my arm for that arm bar, I'm going to reach and pull out my knife and shank you right in the belly and right in the side of the rib. The moment you wrap your arm around and pull me to you, I'm going to draw my knife and shank you in the belly and poke you in the ribs. The moment you try to rear naked choke me from behind, I'm going to pull out my knife and shank you in the belly and stab you in the ribs. Okay? Because there's no way for you to control both of my hand, my head, and my legs at the same time, no matter what you do. Something's going to be loose. Now, in competition, this is not a problem. Because in competition, I'm not allowed to pull out a knife. In competition, I'm not allowed to gouge your eyes. In competition, I'm not allowed to bite you. Huh? In a real fight, however, all that becomes something you need to think about. There are a lot more intricacy moves that you can use that will work good in the fight, moves that you can use that work better in the sporting environment. But this is just a small list of things to get you guys thinking, because a lot of these are common sense. A lot of these, if you actually sit down and think about what you're doing, you sit down and think about what you're doing to another person and what that person is trying to do to you, and what that person and their friend may do to you, then it's very common sense, very simple for you to figure out, oh, would this really work? Probably not. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I did post another piece of short video earlier on a new piece of tactile art I finished. Very soon you can purchase the Tiger Tactile on the johnnytiger.com website. Um, Hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks those will be online, and hopefully you guys will come and uh, check them out. For now, if you want to see more arts and blind guy trying to be a photographer, you can check me out on Twitter and Instagram using at Johnny Tiger 1981.